Hello, and welcome back to ShySpace, where we talk about all things pertaining to mental health and manifestation. You know the drill. My name is Shy. I'm the host of this podcast, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Happy 2026. Happy Year of the Horse. Happy Season 3. So many exciting things to talk about. I took a much needed rest the past couple months to close out the year and just focus on some other things that we'll talk about that were going on in my life. And yeah, I just feel really recharged when it comes to this project and just like very in my creative energy and excited to share everything that I'm working on, that I'm learning, that I'm manifesting, the highs, the lows, everything in between, and just providing more value in 2026. For anybody who is curious also about my resolutions for 2026, this is the first year that I actually felt like I saw this on TikTok, so I'm going to totally quote it. Or maybe it wasn't TikTok. No, it was definitely TikTok. I'm like, what am I saying? I am always on TikTok. Instagram just doesn't compare. I'm never on Reels, so it's just not me. It was a TikTok and it said, I'm rich in life this year because this is the first year that I didn't feel like I needed to reinvent myself. I just kept going. And that resonated 1000% with me. I was like, wow, that's exactly how I feel. Like in the past, I have been so crazy around New Year's where I'll like write out all these goals and all these things, and I just won't do any of them. I feel like a lot of people can relate. And it's honestly pathetic. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Figure it out. Because obviously, trying to reinvent yourself every 12 months by writing this super unrealistic list that you're going to like whip yourself into shape, it's just, that's not it. That's not how you grow. That's not how you succeed. It's about the small daily deposits and the daily disciplines. And there's just like so much more to that I could go on a rampage. But anyways, I'm feeling really good because this is the first year where I actually feel like I've figured it out in 2025. Like so much good shit happened. I manifested so much. I achieved so much. Like I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it didn't even seem like it was that big of a year. And then I'm putting together my thoughts for this outline and I'm like, what? That was me in 2025? Like I was low-key that bitch. I didn't say it. You said it. Gaslighting 101. Okay, anyways, so yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to bring all of that into the podcast because for anybody who listens because they want to manifest more or become more spiritual or just have better mental health, that's where we're at these days. So we love that. So I also want to start first by saying like a big revelation. Oh, I didn't even say what my New Year's resolutions were. ADHD, yes. This is why I have to have another computer in front of me with my outline because I literally just go off on these tangents and I'm like, la, 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 la. And you guys get no value out of listening to me. So sorry about that. The New Year's resolutions. So because I don't feel like I have to just like reinvent myself, at first I was kind of just like, I'm not even going to do any resolutions because like, I don't need to. Like, oh my God, I'm about to go ADHD again because I want to talk about these eye patches on my face. I was like, I don't need to reinvent myself. I'm doing amazing. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. So let's not put any unrealistic pressure on ourselves. I also have a big bone to pick with just the time of New Year's in general because it's just so unnatural to think about like recreating yourself in the depth of winter. Like, are you kidding me? No. Springtime is actually when the new year begins. Obviously. Come on. It just doesn't take a freaking scientist to understand that. But anyways, that was part of the reason. The other part is because I feel like 2025 was a great year, albeit a very challenging year. Therefore, I just kind of felt like I don't need to put that pressure on myself because let me tell you, if I put more on my plate, like I tell myself that I need to start doing like 100 sit-ups a day or write a book or something, I'm going to have a mental breakdown. And I've already had a lot of those in 2020. So we just want to keep the good vibes. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. And then they kind of just crept up on me. Like I didn't even realize. And I was just like, okay, big goal for 2026, be more present and do more yoga. I already do yoga every week, but I just want to do it even more. So yeah, those just crept up on me and now those are my goals. So if you didn't set any goals this year for 2026 or any intentions or anything, please don't feel bad about it. You don't have to in order to be successful. And just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that they're actually following through with them. Keynote there. What's this that the kids do these days? I don't even know. Slay, okay? So yeah, just don't even worry about it. And also, you still have time to do that if you want to. So no worries there, bestie. Okay. Real quick, we do need to talk about the eye patches on my face. I don't know what I'm doing with these. I need to look up what the proper application form is because I saw Alex Earl put them on this way. And Alex Earl is my tried and true queen. So naturally, I'm like, whatever. If Alex does it, I'm just going to do it. I'm just blind leading the blind. Like I'll just follow aimlessly. I do that with a lot of the things that she influences me with. So, but then I saw somebody else do it too. I think it was Molly May, who's my other like tried and true influencer, where I'm like, you tell me to walk off a cliff, I just might do it, Molly. I just might. So I think I saw Molly doing it. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm the silly one. I obviously don't know anything about eye patches. I'm not an influencer. So like, whatever, I'm doing it wrong. But when I look at myself close up, I'm like, this just doesn't look right. Something looks wrong. And it can't just be my face. It's obviously the eye patches. Like it's not me. Okay. It's not me. Okay. So back to the topic of conversation. Coming back to the podcast, I want to start by saying this. A big change that we've had between 2025 and 2026 is that I'm not coming to this podcast apologizing to you guys about the fact that I've been MIA because I quite literally don't give a fuck if you're upset about it. Sorry. That is another thing. That's the last resolution I think that I set for myself. Clearly I didn't write them down. I'm just keeping them up here, which loose file system. So, was to leave people pleasing in the past because I struggle with that a lot. And we're working on that in therapy and just actively. So yeah, if you're mad, sorry. Needed to focus on the holidays and self-care for a bit. So yeah, I didn't disappear for 2 months. That's not what we're going to call it. We're not going to like come back and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I hate that I used to do that in all my episodes whenever I would take a break because it's just like, you're being weird. Stop. Because what I was doing was integrating and that's really important. I feel like we don't talk about integrating enough when it comes to growth and change in our lives. We often will go through periods of growth where there's a big spurt and a lot happens and a lot changes. And then we need to take time to settle down and integrate those changes into our cellular level. We have to have time to process and accept it. And so that's what I was doing. Because really 2025 asked a lot of me. I know I mentioned that already. So I really just needed the space to actually process the lessons before actually talking about them in a constructive and valuable way. I'm not trying to come back with a highlight reel of like, oh my God, look at all this stuff that I did and it was perfect. My life was perfect. It's like, no, it actually fucking looked horrible or felt horrible most of the time. Like a lot of stuff was going on and I was just like, that thing that Tina does from Bob's Burgers. If you don't watch Bob's Burgers, whatever. Tina just moans in agony or like discomfort. That's kind of how I felt all of 2025. So anyways, like I said, it just didn't really feel good while I was in it. So I'm not coming back with a highlight reel of, oh my God, this is how amazing my 2025 was. I'm coming back with a new sense of truth and a lot of really good insights that I want to share with people because when I look back on the year, like I said, it just truly changed everything for me. And it's crazy because you don't realize it's happening while it's happening until it's already happened. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, let's quickly recap who I was entering 2025 in case you don't know. So at the beginning of 2025, I was exhausted, drained, tired in a way that sleep does not fix, uninspired in a way that literally nothing could solve. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think the main thing is that I was just stretched super thin, mostly from an emotional standpoint. I was in my horrible relationship, and that was just genuinely killing me from the inside out. It's hard to really do well in anything else when that is like draining you. So I was in a place of hopefulness. I was still really hopeful about my relationship and just everything in my life, loving super deeply, even though it was costing me so much more than I was receiving. And, I was just getting to a point really at that point where I was really starting to question myself. And it wasn't all at once. It was just like this subtle chip away process that started to derail my confidence and my clarity and my path forward. Everything just felt like bleh, just melancholy, not good. And so I knew something wasn't right. I knew that I needed to make a change. And this goes like far outside of just my relationship, right? There was so many different things that I was analyzing and that I then analyzed once I got out of the relationship halfway through 2025. And so I just knew that there was a lot that needed to change. And basically, I think another like big lesson of 2025 was just intuition. This was a huge year of intuition for me. I think I haven't really had a year like this where I've had such strong intuitive depth with myself where I just know things and I'm just like, how do you know that? Like, you're fucking psycho. Like, you're literally fucking insane. And then I just know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just know. It's literally a sixth sense. I don't know. It's crazy. It is fucking insane. But it's amazing. Like, it's just, anyways. So yeah, I think my 2025 recap card was about building the courage to listen to my intuition. Because that's been the biggest thing for me always. It's just like, is it intuition or is it anxiety, girl? Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. That's always the question mark. So anyways, that's where I was at the beginning. And then, like I said, halfway through, things started to change. I left my relationship. I bought a horse, which is literally like the biggest, craziest. It's not the craziest thing. There's crazier things in life. But for me, it was crazy because it was just something that I'd been dreaming about. And it was a goal I've had for literally fucking forever. So for it to finally come to fruition, obviously, was like a huge deal. And it's crazy because I got my horse literally a week before I left that relationship, which is crazy because just the timing. And I also got a new job like a week before I got the horse. So much happened all at the same time. And yeah, so anyways, let's go in like sequential order, shall we? So I'd say the first half was kind of a slow start. I was struggling and then like I was, working up the courage to get out of the relationship. And then I did. And then at the same time, I was trying to kind of take the next step in life. And a big thing that I'd been thinking about was buying a horse. And I got back into riding, which was a big deal for me because I've been riding my whole life, basically on and off. I've like worked in the industry for a long time. I used to lease a horse and basically have my own horse. And it's just something that I've always really missed. And it's a huge thing that I've wanted back in my life that I've been desperate for. And I no longer wanted to wait for the perfect time. I wanted it to be. And so I was like, you know what? We're not going to do this anymore. We're not just going to hope and wish and wait and pray and think about it as like this future thing. We're going to figure out how to take it into today's world. So I did that, and I can make an episode about that if there's people that are interested, but I don't think my audience really is horse heavy, at least on YouTube and like the podcast, but maybe we'll see. But for a second, we could talk about it because truthfully, it wasn't just a dream come true for me. It was a huge commitment to myself to show up every single day for something that I love that is really challenging and really difficult, and continuing to show up even when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, expensive, all the things. My horse has taught me so many things. He's taught me discipline, presence, responsibility in a way that like nothing can. And it's just like you can't disassociate through care. Like my dog teaches me that on a level, but a horse is like so next level, especially when they're not just on your property too. Like you actually have to go out of your way to go see them and care for them. Like it's a big deal. And some might be like, oh, well, you pay a boarder to help, so it's less responsibility. I don't know. I would argue against that because it's so time consuming. Like the hour that I spend just driving to and from the barn, or hour and 20 minutes, depending on the day and the time, I could do all of my barn chores like within that amount of time if he lived on site with me, I think. Getting into the weeds here. But it didn't allow me to disassociate. I had to be grounded. I had to be consistent. I had to be present. And it was just crazy because the universe was like, hey, you're finally getting your dream. Here's a horse. Oh, your boyfriend's a cheating, lying piece of shit. So now you have a horse and you're going through a breakup. And it just was a crazy mind fuck because I was just like, oh, okay, this is different. My whole entire life routine has been changed. Like it just was a lot. But the best part is that not only does it bring me so much happiness and joy, all the things, it actually changed and continues to change how I see myself, because I no longer see myself as somebody who just wants things. and hopes and wishes and prays for them. I actually see myself as somebody who manifests and stewards things and takes action and makes things happen, which I didn't feel like I was that type of person before. I feel like I was somebody who just kind of sat in the bleachers and was like, I hope that's me one day, and it's like, what the fuck are you going to do to make it happen, babe? And this is so embarrassing. Like, I would literally, I can't believe I'm about to admit this, especially after the state I was in my last relationship. I always thought, okay, well, the easiest path to having a horse and the path of least resistance for my life is just going to be like when I get married and have a property with my husband and, I do it that way. And then I was like, the older I get and the more that my life unfolds in a way that doesn't align with that, I was like, what the fuck am I waiting for? I ain't waiting on a man to make this happen. There's just no way. Nope. No freaking way. And I'm glad that I didn't, because it was funny too. This is how you know I'm a silly goose. So when I was planning to get my horse, I was obviously in a relationship at the time, and he was helping me plan and figure out whether or not it was something that I should do and all these things. And while I was planning the financial side of it and making sure that everything looked good there, I was also planning it as if I was single. So I was planning it like in two ways. Like, this is what it would look like if I'm single and I own a horse, and this is what it would look like if I'm not single and I own a horse, just to make sure that I could afford it. Some people might be like, that's smart, girl. But like, it's just sad looking back, because it's like I was in the headspace of like, yeah, this is probably not going to work out because my relationship's in the fucking shitter and I just keep trying to make it work because I'm pathetic. I don't even know. So let's make sure that I'm going to be okay should I leave this man one day. Which was not too long after that. I mean, I started the planning like months before I got him, obviously. Or no, I didn't start the planning months before I got him. I started the research months before I got him. I started the planning quickly because it happened very quickly, just in terms of like, I found him and I was like, oh, I think this is the horse for me. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. So anyways, on to the next week after Coda arrives, leaving the toxic relationship. I have a whole episode on that, what I went through and all the lessons I learned from that. It is a big takeaway for my 2025 year in terms of the things that I learned, especially when it comes to the intuition that I was talking about. If you struggle with toxic relationships, I urge you to watch that or listen to that one, because like I said, it was a big growth pivotal point for me. And I hope that people can benefit from my experience and not have to go through it themselves. And I would say too, like, I posted a TikTok about this recently on my account for this podcast page. It's called ShySpace Podcast on TikTok. I posted some tips about what to look out for in toxic relationships. And basically, it's just, I mean, like, the intuition thing is the biggest one. I really want to hone in on that, because when things don't feel right, you need to trust that. And when things seem too good to be true, you need to trust that also. And also just know that, like, yeah, it's hard to leave a bad relationship, but you have to choose yourself. And if you don't, you're disrespecting yourself every single day. And that's just not it. So don't do that, because you will absolutely regret the time that you wasted staying in a bad relationship. I can tell you that. I know it's like, I feel like my biggest struggle when I was staying in my relationship was like, I'm going to regret it, like, people deserve second chances, whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, I agree that they do, but I think there's a line. Like, there really is. There's a line, and you know what that line is, and you know when somebody crosses it, and you know when you're making excuses for yourself. So, like, if you feel like you have to hide things from people, or you feel like, I don't know, there's just so many things I could say. I hate talking about that, but I have to, because there's so many good lessons that come from it, and it's imperative to reflect. I will say too, just a heads up, obviously, getting out of a situation like that, it's going to feel unfamiliar, it's going to feel lonely, it's going to feel really strange, but you're going to have this sense of calm that follows afterwards that allows your nervous system to actually be like, okay, I'm safe and things are good again. And that is worth everything. So just do it. You are strong. You can leave. Watch my other episode. Okay? Anyways, on to the next milestone. So again, around the same time, I guess we're not going in sequential order because this came first. I got a new job and grew my income even more this year, which was so exciting. So I've continued to do that year over year for the past, I don't even know how many years, probably since I graduated. So like 6 years. So I got a chance to get a really great opportunity at a company doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, which is sales, and basically at the same exact type of company, but at a competitor. So I was super excited about that because I felt like this job in so many ways, and I think I talked about this in another episode too, about the podcast and why I had taken a hiatus for so long because of my previous job. And this job is just so much more aligned with who I am now, not who I was trying to be to survive, because in that environment previously, I felt like I wasn't myself. I felt like I was just being a people pleaser. I was just trying to keep my head down and just get the job done and not piss anybody off. I want my voice to be heard. I want to make a scene if things aren't being done with the utmost respect of employees and people's well-being. I want to say something when things are not right, and that is not something that I felt like I could do previously. And that might have just been all self-imposed. But either way, I stopped feeling like I needed to prove myself and I started receiving, and lo and behold, the job fell into my lap. I literally didn't even have to submit an application for it. Like, it was amazing, and it's been the best thing ever. I have the most amazing team and just like the most phenomenal experience working there. My last team was amazing as well. So that's not a dig at them at all. It's always hard to leave jobs. Like, it was gut-wrenching for me to leave that job, but like I said, the dynamic there, I just felt like I couldn't grow the way that I wanted to. And yeah, it just wasn't the right thing for me. So that was a big deal for me. Like, I had to leave a job, which was agonizing. I had to get out of a relationship, which was agonizing. I bought a horse, which was overwhelming. And, then I had to process a breakup on top of all of this. But I will say that as my income grew, or as it continues to grow, I realized that it's not because I'm doing more that I'm making more. It's because that I'm finally allowing myself to be valued appropriately, because I'm finally seeing the value in myself. Big emphasis on that, because if you don't see the value in yourself, no one will ever pay you what you deserve or you think you deserve. Period, point blank. And that leads me into my next milestone, which was and is forming my LLC. Yay. So I've done this before. I did a little LLC in California when I was self-employed and doing some consulting work. And now I have formed a new LLC that is ShySpace, which is so exciting. So I've officially legitimized ShySpace. And now my plans for 2026 are to build onto ShySpace and actually turn it into a real business. More to come on that. There's a lot of things that I'm working on and I'm so excited. I don't really want to talk about them in this episode because we're talking about 2025 recap, but that is something that I did in 2025. I did it like in fall. And yeah, I just feel like that was the moment that I just stopped treating my dreams like hobbies. I entered a coaching program at the same time. I forgot to mention that, but that kind of like coincides with this. And I just decided, you know what? This matters. I matter. My dreams matter. My goals matter. Like, now is the time. There is no, like, again, it's like the horse thing. What are you waiting for? Do it. Take a step. Do something. Fail. Figure it out. Fail forward. You've got this. Just do something. Like, life is short. I don't know. I had to stop waiting for permission. I feel like that has been my thing again, just like waiting on the sidelines, waiting in the bleachers. I'm legitimizing myself from here on out. And ShySpace is officially a business, baby. So we're going to start raking in the cash. Anyways, so yeah, that's a really exciting one. I can't wait to talk more about that. And I will, but it's going to include a lot of different things. So it's a very multifaceted project. But obviously the podcast is one of them. One of the last things that happened to me in 2026 that I manifested was a new car. And really excited about that because I had been wanting a new car. And it's funny because I seem to like unintentionally manifest cars in a very strange way. Like, literally, this is obviously completely unintentional, but like, I seriously manifest cars like the most bizarre way. Like, I had a car that I had a recall on, and then I had to get a new car and I got an even better car. Like, it's very weird the way that I attract new cars into my life. I will say too, like, the getting a new car really symbolized stability after all this chaos. I feel like it was a really big step up into this next chapter of me and myself and building a business, owning a horse, just like entering an older era of myself. I don't know. I got an SUV. I was like, okay, this is a big change. It feels really nice. It was really exciting. And it also felt a lot safer for me and just continues to on a daily basis. Like, I feel safe in that car. And I feel like that symbolizes positive forward motion and trusting that I'm being carried forward and not just surviving. And also, actually, again, just feeling safe in general because I felt so unsafe in my last car. And it just reminded me that like life is precious and that's a gift in itself too. So it's just a crazy concept. And I think because I'm a chaotic person sometimes, it tracks that, I would have a chaotic manifestation. So, anyways, quick recap of how I actually got here. Because I will say that none of this happened just because I manifested harder or hustled more. Like, I actually really dropped a lot of my manifestation techniques in terms of like how much time I was devoting to those things. And yet I still had such a successful year. So that goes to show how much power is just in thought and in the mind and the energy that you embody on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to any rituals you might hold. However, if the rituals get you into a good energy place, then those are important. I would say that what really changed things for me is the different choices that I was making when I was starting to feel uncomfortable. And also setting boundaries instead of explaining myself was a big one. And just learning how to regulate my nervous system instead of forcing motivation and forward motion when I don't feel ready to do that. I also chose consistency over intensity, which is a huge, huge, huge win for me. That's not something that I do easily. And I will say also that owning a horse has mirrored everything back to me. Like, they are such powerful creatures that teach you so much about yourself. And I have revelations on a daily basis about myself without even trying. It's the craziest thing. Horses, they're amazing creatures and they don't respond well to chaos. They only respond well to clarity, just like life. So they really do teach you a lot, which is just amazing. So I'm very blessed to be able to spend every day or most of my days with my sweet boy. But anyways, quick recap. What 2025 has changed in me is teaching me that walking away is actually growth and not throwing in the towel. That being at peace doesn't mean living a boring life, and that you can also grieve and grow at the same time. So that's all I have for you guys today. I love you so much. I appreciate you for listening to this episode, especially if you made it to the end. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you in my next episode. Thank you. Bye.